As many clients are struggling with how to think about digital and changing all of their practices, we actually had to go through the same thing because mobile happened faster to our business than even we expected. So if you think about the history of the company, Mark started it 10 years ago in his dorm room, and it was a desktop company. Arguably, if Mark had started it a few years ago, he would have started it as a mobile-only company. And so culturally, we were a desktop company for the first, call it 7 years. And then we noticed quickly after we went public that the consumer lines had crossed. And what I mean by that is on a daily basis, more consumers started joining Facebook on their mobile device than their desktop device, which was obviously pretty dramatic for us. And so the consumer, frankly, moved incredibly quickly, which when you take a look back, it's not surprising given how adopted mobile phones are, 1 billion smartphones being sold a year. I mean, these are all things that make sense when you look at hindsight, but when you're in the middle of it, it was happening so quickly, and it happened to us really quickly. So once we saw the consumer behavior shifting, Mark declared a radical change in our culture, and he declared us as a mobile-first company. From an advertising point of view, 59% of our revenue is coming from mobile as of our last quarter reporting in Q1. That's obviously a significant shift from $0 a couple of years ago. The way we did it, it's actually not, it's really not rocket science. We took our newsfeed product, which is where people spend the majority of their time. That's the predominant thing people do in their mobile environment. And we got ads that were contextually relevant in people's news feeds. So we believe now we've got the best mobile ad product out there because it is core and native to what consumers do. As they're scrolling through their news feed, they happen to see an advertisement. It could be from a small business in their neighborhood, or it could be from a big brand. But having the advertisement in that native environment and not some disruptive display banner or disruptive takeover has been really very well received by consumers. And now we have about 1 billion people a month on mobile on Facebook. And I believe that mobile was the best thing that ever happened to our core advertising business. I think there's sort of 3 key trends around what future of marketing is looking like. First, I think we have to understand that the mobile device is the most personal device and the most powerful device that consumers have ever had in the history of marketing over the last 100+ years. And so that fundamentally demands that we rethink all of our models, right? We used to have a model, a media mix model that we could follow. We had very few choices, and that has completely blown up, and the consumer is in charge. So the rise of mobile and the fact that there are more mobile phones than toothbrushes and people check them 100 times a day and they are with them constantly, that means that is probably the single best way to reach a consumer. It is the closest thing to a consumer for a marketer. So that's point 1. The second is that people need to be in the center. We have a strategy at Facebook called People First. Call it personalization. You can put any label on it, but the notion is that people have an expectation that they're going to have a delightful experience that's really relevant for them. And because of all of the information that comes at them and the fact that they see over 750 messages per day, it's really important. Not 750 on Facebook, 750 on average in the environment. It's really important that you deliver a personalized experience. People want utility. They want to be able to save time. They want to be delighted. They want to learn about things that they've never learned before. They want to be able to shop seamlessly. They want these things, and they want them now, and they want them in a very personal way. And then the last thing that's going to impact the future of marketing is just how we measure all of this, because our measurement systems are really archaic and they give credit to last click attribution, which is we ignore all of the things the consumer does until the very last thing they do, and we say, okay, they had a click-through rate of X, or they clicked on this particular search word and search result. What we're not recognizing is, well, what did happen to that consumer along that journey? They woke up, they probably checked their phone, they were probably on several apps, they were probably on Facebook. They then got in their car perhaps, they drove by billboards, maybe the television was on while they were getting ready. It ignores all of that behavior. In digital, we're doing last click attribution, and that's going to fundamentally change to what we believe at Facebook, which is multi-touch attribution. Really giving credit to all of the different ways a consumer gets influenced along the journey. Our strategy has evolved pretty dramatically. 2 years ago, we were a social business where we talked about social metrics. How many fans do you have? Likes, shares, comments. Then we realized very quickly that while those metrics were nice, business metrics are better. And we had to really double down on proving that any marketing that is going on Facebook actually drives a business objective and a business result for our clients. So it might be that the objective is brand awareness, like the work that we did with Coca-Cola around the Super Bowl. That was very much around starting a cultural conversation and having a brand, hopefully an uplift in sentiment for Coca-Cola to a specific target audience. But many of our clients want to know that they're actually moving product off the shelf, that we're driving sales off of an e-commerce site, or that we're moving cars off the lot over the weekend, or that we can convert existing customers to upgrade them in service levels, whatever it might be. And so where our platform is evolving is really moving from just a social metric business to a business that is really focused on what are the objectives of the client and how do we best deliver them. Now, part of that is our multi-app strategy, which is to follow what the consumer wants to do, which is to behave in many, many different scenarios. They want to have use cases that are very relevant to them. So that's really the rise of why messaging services around the world are so popular, because we have found that consumers want the ability to very quickly message people in the moment. They don't want to have several clicks in a Facebook app. And that's why we relaunched Facebook Messenger separately. And it's also what drove a lot of the thinking behind the WhatsApp acquisition. I have the team that runs sort of medium to large businesses, and I have a colleague that does the small, medium businesses on Facebook. And we have two different approaches. So for the medium to larger businesses, it is very hands-on. We have people now in markets all around the world who call on those clients and really act as consultative business advisors as opposed to salespeople. Because really what we're trying to do is, first of all, educate clients and agencies about the shift in consumer behavior. How is this relevant to them? How can they take advantage of it? So there's a lot of consultative business advice going on and very hands-on. And in the small, medium business, we have call centers. We have a lot of help online. So if people have questions, they can submit questions online. And we really try as best as we can to scale both sides of the business to provide as many tools in a scalable way so that the largest marketers can get their questions answered online to the smallest marketer that might have a question. And so we build a lot of tools that are distributed through our Facebook business site. When you navigate anything challenging, you have to have a compass. There's a compass and sort of a radar analogy that we sometimes talk about. And you need to know what your compass is. And our compass is always that the consumer comes first. And we protect privacy rigorously. And that is the most important foundation, because without that, we don't have the trust. And so what is in the best interest of the consumer is always the guiding principle of what we do on Facebook. And the targeting that we allow advertisers to do is actually in the best interest of the consumer. Because when consumers see advertising that's relevant for them, they actually say they have a better experience. They don't want to have messages sent to them that are a big waste of time. So if they're not in the market for a car anytime soon, or they may never want to drive a car, seeing a bunch of car ads is not the most ideal experience for them. But if they know they're in the market in the next 30 days and we can get them different offers and opportunities, that's super valuable. Or if you get off the plane and you travel to LA or New York or wherever, and you get off the plane and we can serve a relevant ad around maybe a restaurant or an event in the city that's happening, could be a Broadway show, it could be a concert, that's useful, that's delightful information. And so whatever we do from an advertising standpoint is all in service of having really relevant, excellent information in front of our consumers.